Hey, Randy Joe here, and today we are going to continue things with our January Blues series, where I'm listening to a blues album every Monday through Friday. Yesterday we listened to B.B. King's incredibly wonderful Live at the Cook County Jail, an album I thoroughly enjoyed from start to finish, and today we are going to continue on with Born Under a Bad Sign by Albert King. Released in 1967, this is an Albert King album, and I am personally unfamiliar with Albert King's work. However, I've seen him have some comparisons to B.B. King, which I think makes for an interesting comparison, seeing as I think B.B. King, for me, stands as a quite unique voice and talent. He is one of my favorite blues musicians, after all. That being said, Albert King, I will try to avoid comparisons simply because I don't want to kind of go into this, trying to compare one legend to another. On top of that, another reason I picked this album is I know that in the credits section of this album, you have some really interesting names coming out here, especially Booker T. Jones and Isaac Hayes, both wonderful musicians in their own right who have some pretty infamous albums already under their belt, especially Isaac Hayes, who remains one of my favorite soul musicians ever. But we're not doing soul this month, so we'll wait for the soul month. Trust me, it will happen one day. But going on, we are going to continue with Born Under a Bad Sign. It is only 34 minutes, rather short, like a lot of these albums were back then, so that makes it for a pretty nice, brief, breezy listen, right? So kicking things off, we've got the opening track, Born Under a Bad Sign. I like his voice. Also, the guitar work here. What started things off was King himself. I really like his voice. Got a nice warmth to it. Kind of soulful in a way. Very thick, brassy instrumentals in the background there, especially the horn section. Really like the groove of this one. I'm really loving the groove of this one. Just the piano work, the guitar work, as well as the very brassy instrumental, especially is what jumps out here. And I like his accent and tone that kind of comes out in his singing. That's facts. Corrupted from day one. Okay, long fade out. Love that song. Great opener. Has a great groove, great rhythm. Not a fan of the long fade out. I think it could have had a better finish, but hey, all in all, it's a great track. Next, we got Crosscut Saw. Seems like there's a plethora of horns musicians on this one. You got Memphis Horns, Wayne Jackson, Andrew Love, as well as Joe Arnold, all contributing to the horns, which so far I really like the horns, I think, the most from the instrumentals we're getting here. Adds a nice kind of soul, jazz tone. Good warmth to it. Really nice bass line, too, in the background there. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. I like that. Nice steady bass. This is a really fun instrumental here. King's guitar work feels so frantic up against this, more steady rhythm of brass. A little fade out again. Next we got Kansas City. Enjoyed Crosscut Saw. We're on a roll here. Nice chemistry between all the bandmates here. I really like his just warm, sort of commanding tone, He's a great showman overall. He doesn't have necessarily, I think, the, audience appeal of a B.B. King. But again, avoiding comparisons, Albert King certainly stands on his own in terms of just having a great sense of tone and atmosphere within his vocals. Really like that part there. Solid track, not as strong as the first two, but still, great sense of rhythm, Can't complain about anything there either. Next we're going to Oh Pretty Woman. Let's just keep the fun times going. King is definitely more, Albert King, I should say, is definitely more subdued in his guitar playing than most in the blues area. Loving the horns in this. I think the horns are my favorite part. I know King is a guitar player, and I probably should be focusing more on his guitar playing, which is pretty fantastic in its own right. But it's the brassy instrumentals here that are really just sticking out to me. They just feel like that old-fashioned 60s sound that I personally really enjoy. Maybe because I grew up with a lot of soul music in my family. I'm really liking this one. I'm liking this one more than Kansas City, I think. Good warmth to it. There's like a somewhat supernatural undertone, I think, to some of the instrumentals here. Maybe that's just because of the, album name and cover. That's just kind of subconsciously being picked up by me. But maybe it's a placebo. But either way, I like the sort of almost atmospheric smoky tone. Down Don't Bother Me is this one. Really good bass line on this one as well. Really like his soulful voice, I gotta say. Very bluesy. And his accent, I'm not really sure where Albert King is from, but he's got a certain dialect. He's from Mississippi. So he's got that more southern drawl, I think, tied to his accent. Ooh, this is The Hunter. I don't know if I'm crazy, but Isaac Hayes is the piano player on this album, from what I've read. I'm not hearing him, which is a shame, considering I am a huge Isaac Hayes fan. This was before he blew up, by the way, as a solo musician. I just want to say that. Before Stax Record really recognized his potential. But yeah, I haven't heard any piano that really stands out on this album so far, which is a shame, considering I was looking forward to hearing Hayes himself before his heyday. But hey, you know what? This isn't about Hayes, this is about King. Let's just continue. A nice little love ballad. This rhythm here. Really solid sort of rhythm and harmony here. And King's guitar work here, very high pitched. He likes that higher regimen. Really like this one. This is a solid track. Really great driving instrumental. Alright, going right into the next track here. I Almost Lost My Mind. Gonna go out on a limb and say that this is gonna be a track about a guy who has lost his mind because the love of his life had left him. That is my prediction before even getting into this. I'm assuming. I told you so. That was just kind of a given. I like this slower regimen he's in. Ooh. A flute? Who is our flautist here? There is nothing on the flautist of this here. We're not getting any sort of credit here for the flautist. Well, we need to get to the bottom of this, because I'm a big fan of the flute, and, you gotta pay respect to those flute players. Joe Arnold. He also plays the baritone saxophone on here, because on here we like to pay respect to individual artists, and Joe Arnold really adds a nice sort of whimsy to this track. I'm not a big flute guy. I'm liking this one. I'm loving the slower, more dialed back approach. No heavy brass sections on this one. I mean, they're there, but they're not taking the center stage. Oh, there's the piano from Hayes. I've been waiting. Oh, I like that. That was nice. Those horns kind of being playful. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second. I got to say, every player here, I'm really liking how diverse the instrumentation is and how everyone seems to be shooting their shot within the track here. To me, that's the making of a good record. And we even got percussion in the background here, like gentle, almost like bongos. This has got to be my favorite track here. Which might be a hot take considering this is one of the lower streamed tracks. But I really like that one. I thoroughly enjoyed the much more slower, dialed back approach of that one. And I gotta say that despite being a pretty typical track in terms of its songwriting, you know, losing your mind because you lost your love. We've heard that one a billion times over at this point. Even though that has been played out, it's just a tried and true formula. And, you know, as long as you have a good sense of focus for the atmosphere and the instrumentals and, of course, the vocal delivery, you know, it doesn't really matter how simple the lyrics are or how simple the concept is. It's really just about the execution. And I think that one was executed quite beautifully, which might be a hot take considering it is a lower streamed song. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Next, we're going to go on to Personal Manager. Pretty much wants to be a slave to this woman. I want to be your milkman every morning, your ice cream man when the day is through. That's certainly a line. King taking it away on his guitar here. Despite not being an electric blues record, at least I don't think this is considered one. It's got a very electric tone to it. Really liking his solo here. It's really standing out as a unique one. Okay. Solid track. Really like that one. Here's the King's solo on that one. His guitar solo definitely stood out above all the rest there. Next we've got Laundromat Blues. Good meeting spot. You know, good vibes there. Smells great too. He ain't having it. He's gonna kill this woman. Solid piano performance in the background there too, from Isaac Hayes. And King, of course, playing his heart out over these instrumentals. Sounds like Mr. Albert King here is threatening his woman. Ooh, that nice wavy effect that he's doing here. This is a solid one. And I really like the songwriting on this one. A little silly, a little tongue-in-cheek, but it's fun. Solid track all around. Loved it. As the years go passing by, let's just jump into it. Much more slower bluesy track. Much more meticulous. Isaac Hayes really coming in here on the left side. A lot going on here. I'm struggling just to focus on one aspect. You got King on the guitar doing his solo. You've got really strong percussion on this side as well. That nice steady click. The piano, of course, from Hayes. Lots going on in this part. We try to separate it all. Kind of makes each one stand on its own. But together, comes together. The brass is great. Oh, man. And Hayes on that piano. He's just shimmering across the board. Shimmering across the keys, I should say. Quite a solid track there. I said everything I had to say during the reaction, but pretty much just all in all, great chemistry between every member. On to the very last track, we've got The Very Thought of You. Right off the bat, I'm really liking this melody. Very pretty instrumental here. Also, his singing here is much clearer, much more brought to the forefront. I like his guitar playing here. It's less showboaty and more just serving as a great instrumental. This is the kind of guitar playing that I would like to learn because it seems fairly simple. And it works great with just the main vocals. It's swelling up. Much more soulful track than anything else here. Beautiful analogies. This saxophone could be Joe Arnold again, our flautist, but that saxophone was beautiful. Nice warm tone to it. Also a big saxophone guy. Played saxophone once for a year. I was terrible at it, but it was grade 5. Maybe I should give it another shot. Probably have more breath control now, that's for sure. This is such a pretty instrumental. This is a solid track all around. He really held that one there. Okay, closing things out. That has got to be the prettiest track on this entire LP. Closing things out, I gotta say, Born Under a Bad Sign by Albert King. First off, I don't see the comparison to B.B. King. Maybe I just read a bad thread online. But Albert King certainly stands on his own, and I really just enjoyed the more soulful, bluesy tone of this record. And at only 34 minutes, I think just about every track lands. There's nothing here I disliked, and even the lower stream songs. I mean, I love Laundromat Blues, and for some reason, people do not seem to be streaming that one nearly as much as some of the others. Maybe people don't take it as seriously because of the songwriting, but I really liked just the very kind of cute and silly tone of it. Nice little spin on your typical, cheating wife type track. This was a great album. Great experience through and through. Lots of brilliant players on this one. You've got Albert King doing some, really nice sounding, high-pitched solos on a lot of these. And on the final track there, he kind of gives up the solo work to sort of just provide a pretty standard but, well-paced delivery on the very thought of you. And aside from King himself, I mean, you also got Isaac Hayes on the piano. I think he comes in much stronger in the second half of the LP. Very shimmery on some of these instrumentals. And then the brass sections throughout this entire thing do add to that more soulful warmth that I personally really enjoy. I thought they add a nice twist to a lot of the standard blues albums I've been listening to this month. And on Almost Lost My Mind, of course, I did really enjoy that flute section. But again, I am fairly biased considering I always like a nice flute, a nice sense of whimsy under the tones of these bluesy soul approach. But all in all, this is a great record. I loved it. It's brief. It's fun. It's cute. It's rather quaint. It's well played. There's great chemistry between all the band members. Just a great listen. And that pretty much does it for Born Under a Bad Sign from Albert King. All in all, just a great record. If you want to see me react to a blues record, maybe you are familiar with the blues more than I am, as I am quite an amateur within the genre, go ahead and leave a comment down below of a diamond in the rough or a classic or just a must listen, whatever you want. I will check it out during the month of January. And if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to follow along in more reactions, both old and new albums coming forward. And as always, my name is Randy Joe, and I'm signing off.